Do you want an amazing marriage? Are you ready to take your marriage to the next level? Then stick around for your Marriage Matters podcast with marriage coach Lynn. Let's put some fun and sizzle into your relationship.
Hi everybody. I hope you enjoyed last week's podcast episode, What's It Like Growing Up in a Large Family? If you haven't listened to it, I would recommend it. We had a lot of fun, all 6 of our children and Bob and I. Today, Bob and I would like to talk about what's it like raising a large family from our parent perspective. I think I want to start this off, Bob, by asking you, did we ever set out to have a large family?
Well, I don't think when we got married we set out and said we're going to have a large family. In fact, you had said that early on that you were like more career minded and didn't really necessarily want to have a large family. I came from a large family myself, so I probably mentioned that in the previous one of 10 children actually, and I don't remember having any particular animosity toward having a large family at the time. So I was pretty open. And so I guess the answer is no, we didn't really set out and plan exactly how many we were going to have.
True. That's an interesting point you bring up. It's different for the dad than it is for the mom. In American culture, mothers are often more tightly, we're the nurturing ones. We have the babies, we breastfeed. You'll find more moms bringing their children to doctor's appointments or getting them ready for school or doing more children focused than the father. The father might pay more attention to his work. So I think when you talk about a large family, it's very important. What does the wife think of that? Because she will take on a lot of the child rearing responsibilities. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, because in our case, I know you did go to work and get a job for our first 2 children, Rob and Melanie, and then Hillary came along, our third. And that was when you started reevaluating whether you wanted to continue working, right? That was about the time. And so you decided to leave your job and stay home full time at that point. Because at some point, obviously, if you're having a large family, if both parents are working, then that in fact makes it more difficult to raise a large family, because now you've got, think of the daycare challenges, paying for daycare. I can't imagine how much the daycare bill would have been for having 6 kids. So
the logistics become more difficult. We have 6 children born in 1988, 1990, 92, 93, 96, and 2002. So as you can see in there's a couple that were like a year and a half apart. So that's when it got very busy for me. After the 4th child, I really felt overwhelmed. 4 kids under age 6 or 7 at the time, and that was difficult. And then our 5th child was born 3 years later, and then our 6th child 6 years after that. So having some space in between, I find, was helpful. On the other hand, they were close friends, being a year and a half apart. However, then the age, it didn't really matter, because then 3 years, 6 years apart, they were all generally friends.
Yeah, going back to the cost and expense thing, so raising a family, a lot of people would say, oh, I can't have more kids because it's going to cost too much money. Well, that's one thing we never really sat down and figured out exactly how much money. I mean, there's stats out there, but we never paid attention to that. And we just, as each child came along, we would just make accommodations for it. And Lynn, you were able to go home, so we didn't need to, we were able to do it all on my salary. I was blessed with a good job. I was in the IT field, and the job paid well enough so we could afford the children, afford to take care of the children, and whatever expenses came along. And it wasn't that excessive. I mean, you just do what you got to do. You know, we talked about, is it hard? We talked about being is marriage hard? Well, is raising a large family hard? Well, no, you just do what you got to do. You make the decisions. I had to get rid of my Firebird, so my Pontiac Firebird, so no more sports car. Oh well. But hey, you just deal with it, because you've got the benefit now of these kids that are now, they're growing up, and you're getting to come home, when you drive into the driveway from work and having the kids run up. In our case, they'd be playing outside, and they'd run up to the car door. Dad's home. They'd run up and fight over who was going to open the door for me, as I got home. So, fun little stuff like that. So whatever you give up is more than replaced by the experience of just having these kids around and who love you and you're taking care of them. And
I think that when you talk financially, I was very resourceful. They'll say it costs $300,000 to raise a child from 0 to 18 or whatever number. It sounds overwhelming. Well, that's because if you factor in designer clothes, all these special lessons, music lessons, top of the notch, your preschool gym, there's a lot of expenses that you can put out there on your infant and your child. And we just were never that type of family. We also didn't go to restaurants on an impulse because we were running from activity to activity, so we had to hurry up and go to fast food restaurants. We didn't do the big birthday parties. Nowadays, people will spend $400 or $500 on their 2-year-old's birthday party and have the horse brought into the backyard or the jumping castle or go to the whatever. And I'm not criticizing that. I'm just saying we weren't interested in that and we didn't spend our money on that. So we did things differently than maybe a smaller family would do. We didn't take big vacations, but we took good vacations. We did a lot of traveling in the car.
We bought a camper, which allowed us to go pop-up camper. So we were able to go camping. Camping is very cheap. $30 a night for a campsite versus, how much would you spend
over
spend on a hotel room
and
whatever.
We've driven out to Colorado. We've driven all up and down the East Coast. So one thing I wanted to say is that you do things differently when you have a large family. You try to do things as a family unit. For example, we did camping rather than individual going to Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts. We did our own Boy Scout and Girl Scouts by camping. We also were a homeschool family for many years, and what we found was a wonderful co-op called FISH, Families in Support of Home Education. And what would happen on the FISH soccer days, every Wednesday, the entire families, let's say well over 100 families or more, would get together at this field, and the different age groups would go off to a different soccer field and be coached by another soccer. We volunteered, so different parents served as coaches. So that was wonderful to go and do family activities. We traveled together often as a family. We formed our own family group. I think what that does for children is it makes them become closer friends with each other. Versus when I grew up, I'm the oldest of 3, we went to public school, we were each catered to with our own activities, so we were sort of separated. Yes, we were a family unit, but we each did our own individual thing. But moms and dads, and I've seen it though, large families with 8 children, one mom friend had 5 kids having to be at 5 different soccer fields on a Saturday. And I'm like, why? Why do you do that? Well, her kids like soccer and she made it happen. And you find pooling with other families. I loved also having a large family in Northern Virginia. We lived there for 14 years and there were many large homeschool families. So that was a lot of fun linking up with other large families. We sort of had a camaraderie with what it was like and how crazy it could seem at times. So large families require resourcefulness, they require creativity, they also don't cater to people's pickiness. And tell me, Bob, in your family of 10 kids, were you able to be picky at dinner time?
Oh no, that's the thing about having a large family. You learn to not be selfish, that you learn really quick that the world doesn't revolve around you, that you have to exist with these other people and get along and share. And we knew which night was meatloaf night and which night was the noodles and sauce night. She would make these noodles and stuff, and she had this plan out, so we knew exactly what we're getting. Oh, Mexican steak, that's what she called it. It was like she would make this Mexican. My siblings would probably, I'm sure, would remember all that. But anyway, goulash. She made a goulash too. I remember that. Okay. But anyway, so the planning, you ate it or you didn't have any choice basically, and so you learn that little bit of sacrifice. It helps you when you go out into the world, and you have to be dealing with a lot of people, and it provides that nice little community that is the good foundation to learn in. And
yeah.
It definitely helps you not be selfish and shows you how to give things up and for a greater good.
I want to bring up the point, you remind me that when you have many children, you have many different types of personalities. So parents are blessed by different temperaments, different unique individual beings. And I think it's been pretty awesome that we see our love expressed in each of our children, and some of them will take on some of your habits and mine, and we see we're looking at ourselves on some of our bad qualities maybe in some of our kids, or some of our good qualities or talents or interests.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a lot of fun, and it really makes us, it matures us. Having more children has matured me. Would it say
Yes.
having children has matured
I was going to
you?
say, I might have even referred to this in one of our previous podcasts, but it does definitely, having children makes you grow yourself. You know, forces you to come out of your own little world and realize, hey, you know, now I've got somebody else I'm responsible for, or a number of children that I'm responsible for. So you have to look at things you do and realize, oh, I can't do this because, you know, it's a bad example for the kids and I need to do it this way. And
another thing about raising a large family is some people have this view that, oh my gosh, you have 6 kids, you never have a minute to yourself. Well, actually I do have had a lot of minutes to myself. I would give up sleep time so I can get up early and go swim early in the morning while the children were sleeping. I'd race home and be home. Bob would be ready to drive to work, or there was a time where I was swimming at 8 or 9 o'clock in the evenings to work. I worked around the children's schedule, but I definitely was not resentful, and I did things myself. Swimming. I even took a vacation by myself 3 or 4 years ago. I just needed to leave, and I took 4 nights. I went to Virginia Beach, had a great time just by myself. And so you need to do self-care. You're not totally selfless and sacrificial with a large family. I know one woman who, when their house was being built, had a prayer room on the off side of her bedroom. So she would get up early and had 15 minutes of quiet time, and she shut her door. So she definitely took time for herself. So raising a large family, to me, has not been a burden. It hasn't really interrupted my life. Has it given me my identity? I don't know if I would go that far, but I am happy to say when it comes up in conversation that, oh yes, I have 6 children, and we all get along and we all have fun, and that it wasn't a burden. I tell millennials the best thing that happened to me was having a large family. And people are surprised by that because in our culture, we're very into planning. I'm going to have 2 children, hopefully a boy and a girl, 3 years apart, and that's all I want. And it's good to know your limitations. It's good to plan, but I want to encourage younger people out there that it's also good to just be open to what comes your way, because had I not been open, I wouldn't be on this awesome ride of being a mom of a large family. And my kids were never a burden to me. And I feel like I started out as a rough diamond, and I've been polished and fine-tuning of who I am.
Yeah, that's what I meant about having children and what it does for yourself and how you improve and, you know, gain a better view of life. You also have to have a tough skin too, because there's times I would, you know, when I would announce at work, you know, that we were having another child, and people can say the tackiest things. Like one of my coworkers actually said, you know, they have things to cure that. You know, I'm like, wow, okay, so having a child is a disease? No. So, you know, just those kind of things. It's like, yes, I know how that happens. I know, you know, all these.
That's funny. Anybody listening here who has a large family, we could do a whole episode on the comments people say when they hear you're having another child, or
anyway.
You know. So, but we don't really bother with that. I would like to. Anything else to add, Bob?
No, I don't think so. No, that's good. It was a very positive experience overall, and I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
When people tell me, oh, you know, 6 kids, I'm like, okay, well, who should we send back?
Yeah.
You know, that's another comeback I like to say. And It's like, no, nobody. I wouldn't want to send anybody back.
So it's been great raising a large family. It would be wonderful if in the future any of our kids were to get married or have grandkids. That will be a cool stage if and when that comes along. But right now we are just enjoying. Oh, I have to tell one more story. I have to encourage moms. The greatest vacation we've ever take. This is a mom's dream come true. In January of 2016, we decided for a Christmas gift to take a family cruise. So all 8 of us went on a 4-night cruise. And why this is a dream come true for the mom is that you just pay one price and you enjoy. You don't have to plan entertainment. You don't have to grocery shop. The meals are there. No cooking, no planning, no organizing. You just show up and dress up, show up, and you can enjoy the vacation 100% with the rest of the family. So I would encourage a large family taking a family cruise at one point. That was so much fun. Anyway, I hope you have a great week, and until next time, make your marriage great.